Welcome back to the All Out NRL Fantasy Podcast. Dor, I cannot believe we're already 18 rounds or 17 rounds through the NRL 2024 season. We're now in round 18, mate. Team lists, look, it's a bit of a disaster. I've had a quick look over what's to come for this week. How are you, mate? You've been back on the podcast for the first time in a while.
Yeah. I missed last week. Obviously, away fishing last week, catching a few...
Jamin Salmons.
A few Jamin Salmons. Yeah, a few Jamin Salmons. Yeah, a few AJ Brimsons. So I obviously missed last week, but it's good to be back. And yeah, look, there's a few bombshells and a few big inclusions this week for TLT. So it'll be great to go through, brother.
Mate, before we get to that, I want to know what's happening at Red Hill because we know the Broncos, they were in the grand final last year. They should have won the comp.
I was there.
Mate... They haven't won since round 11, Magic round. You've lost 4 out of your last, 5 games. Are you concerned, mate? You're outside the 8?
Very concerned, and I'm looking at the team, and I'm also still concerned.
Well, I saw a stat, and I think you've got 7 of your back rowers that are listed in your top 30 out, or 7 out of your 9 back rowers or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of injuries there with the back line, but then also as well with Walsh has obviously had those HIAs and those injuries, so he's missed a fair bit of time. And then last week, we obviously, Haas and Carrigan didn't play.
Were you disappointed with that as a Broncos fan?
Yeah. Look, I can understand those sides like Penrith, for example, or like Cronulla and, those sides that are in the top 4 and are quite safe, like the Storm as well, are quite safe with their position. But like for us, we obviously, like you said, our form of late's been really poor. And yeah, I really thought that was a real winnable game for us on the weekend, even though it was over in New Zealand. And I thought our players should have backed up. Like obviously Queensland didn't go very well in game 2, as you boys touched on last week. So yeah, players of like Reece Walsh, he didn't really get, that much of a workload in. Obviously Carrigan played a fair, probably too many minutes. You think about it because Kafusi really didn't get used or Capewell as much as well on the from the bench. So look, and Haas was really good for New South Wales, but I just thought that with our position that they needed to play last week.
Absolutely. I mean,
and we're at all C's, or we're in trouble this week.
Yeah. Well, looking at this team list, and we'll go through it from the Thursday night game, and we'll touch on it in just a second because it's a big week. Dor, last week, it was a quite tough week for fantasy coaches last week. We scored an okay 740, was it, Dor?
769 we scored, Cord, with only 16 players. Obviously, that Harry Grant late news hurt us a bit. But look, we can't complain really. We got the 2 Eels in and Matto and
Teddy Captain
and
as well.
Cartwright, and the big one of Teddy Captain. 75 obviously times 2 for the 150.
Well, I've already seen a tick, Dor, sorry to cut you off, with Ryan Madison. He is now starting on the edge and not coming off the bench. So that's
just delightful.
It's just great news. And I mean, we sort of predicted what that would happen, absolutely, didn't we, Dor? So
no, this definitely needed some better luck with Matto second time around. And look, it's looking up. He got a great boost in the final boost on Monday. So yesterday, should I say. He got a great boost there. And then, starting today, it's just terrific news, Cord.
Bryce Cartwright keeps his spot for the Thursday night game against the Rabbits. There's only real news for the Eels is that Sivo comes out for Jake Targo, who will make his debut. I'm seeing some good news here for Rabbitohs and Kulamatangi owners, Dor, because there was news that Murray was going to go to the 13, but Keon has kept that lock spot and will probably play 80 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, he's going to play big minutes, Cord, 100%. And obviously Cam Murray going to the second row. I don't think that's going to be permanent. I think this is probably just for this game.
Yep.
And then obviously Murray will miss next week anyway. And then obviously a lot of pages and pundits, journos have been saying Keon's form at lock and South's record since he's moved there has been flawless. So, I think he is, if you definitely don't have him, he's definitely one to look at this week. Just one thing, Cord, before we potentially move on or touch on anyone else, I think that just with Brendan Hands on the weekend, obviously you've got Matt Arthur again named on the bench there. Look, Hands, he obviously didn't. His minutes were affected on the weekend. He didn't play as many minutes as he normally does, like the 80 minutes. But look, the problem was that he absolutely missed a crap ton.
Yeah, he
of
missed
tackles.
8 tackles. Yeah, 8 tackles, and he didn't really offer anything else except for tackling. So he didn't run the ball. He ran for 12 meters and didn't have a tackle bust, line break, offload, anything like that. So if he misses tackles, he's not going to score very well. Hands.
Yeah, he still played 52 minutes, which was more than Arthur did, and I think in a game. This weekend, hopefully he can get us or owners a better score.
Damien Cook looks like a good buy this week.
Yes,
if you got Grant.
if you don't have Cookie, I've been high on Cookie for nearly a couple of months now. But yeah, if you haven't got Cookie, get him in. But yeah, with Hands, definitely just keep him until the next week.
Yeah,
round 19 bye.
Sharkies Titans and Nico Hines' price continues to drop after scoring 54. His break-even's 99 now. It was 114 the week before, but is now 99. Look, Dor, I didn't see anything from Hines to suggest that you need to pick him up this week if you're a non-owner. I know they're versing the Titans, but the Titans have been quite good and their defense is holding out a little bit. So I didn't see much from Hines to say he's an urgent must-have. I will say, though, he will play round 19 bye, so he will be a buy by that time in 2 weeks' time. So if you want to bite the bullet, get him this week. I can't really complain with you.
Yeah, I think he should get a better score. Like you said, Cord got 54 last week. He should go a lot better this week. Hopefully, getting that 60, 70 point range. Obviously, you can get him in this week. I think if you really need the points, a good point scorer in your halves this week, definitely look to get him in.
Yep.
But if you can afford to wait a week, I'd probably just wait till next week and then get him in and you just hold him for the rest of the season.
This might be the last round we see for Feta for 2 weeks if he gets selected for Origin. And as a Queenslander, I'm totally hoping that he does get selected because he will miss round 19, potentially miss round 20. So are you going to say he's a buy this week? There's obviously no Jaden Campbell, which hurts us a little bit.
Yeah. Campbell will be back, I think, next week is the mail. And yeah, the latest mail that I've heard on for Feeder is it's likely that he's going to be picked.
Yeah.
Like we all said, if
he had to, if we lost,
that there was going to be the SOS.
Yeah.
Like Rihanna said, SOS, someone help me. Billy needs help, and Fafita is going to come to the rescue. So, yeah, I can't say that to the people out there to go and buy Fafita because I think that there's a strong chance he plays next week.
Look, he's a must-have, absolutely.
For the Maroons, that is.
He's an absolute must-have. If you're worried about trades, I mean, you get another 8 next week or 2 weeks' time. So
2 weeks' time, yeah, round 20.
I wouldn't be stressing that much if you lie on trades.
No,
really
just try and get through to that round 20.
Just get through.
Get through, yeah. If you can go into that round 20 with a couple of trades up your sleeve, you're laughing.
AJ Brinson obviously returns for the Titans and Bo Firma returns to the pack, which is good because his scores have been sort of hurting in the centres if you're an owner of Bo Firma.
Should we quickly just touch on Cord with Keeney? Obviously, I know that because Keanu's been playing well. We've been talking about it, but I honestly think that he's playing that well that he could keep the spot. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I think that Campbell could come back at 6 and they might move Brimson back to the... As much as, Brimson was killing it at fullback, just he could go back to the centres where he started the year to keep Keeney there. So, yeah, look, you
Headaches
could take...
Headaches for Des, mate. Headaches for Des.
And that Titans obviously play the bye next week. They've played all their byes, so they're not going to have another rest. That's the same with South that we touched on the Thursday night game. So, South and Titans, they've had all their byes, so they're playing every round until the end. So, yeah, if you want to take a punt on Keeney and you think when Campbell comes back next week that he goes into 6 and that, Brimson moves to the centres, I think that, go for it.
Let's truck on to the Broncos Panthers. Obviously, all the Origin players are back for both teams here.
Yeah.
Walsh, Carrigan, Haas to return for the Bronx, for the Penrith Panthers, Edwards, To'o, Luai Martin, Yao all return. Dane Laurie, Liam Henry, and Matt Eisenhuth reverted to the bench. I thought Dane Laurie was quite good on the weekend. So
Dane Laurie was exceptional. Yeah. I think he would have been man of the match if Penrith won that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Not really much to talk about fantasy-wise. I mean, I would still wait for Payne Haas. Similar logic to for Feeder if you're going to pick him up. I can see the Broncos. I mean, they probably can't afford to rest him, but if he has another blinder or something in Origin 3, they might have to rest him. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule here. The Broncos play the Saturday 5:30 game against Newcastle away. So we'll see what happens with Haas.
Yeah, I don't think there's really, with the Broncos side of things, I think you just wait for those Origin players till round 20 or whatever afterwards, maybe round 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Hetherington I wouldn't be going and getting, even though he's starting at second row. I think that, Jaden Hunt or someone like that could be back.
Yeah.
So there's not really a long-term position. Obviously, Ricky, I think, is got 1 week left, I think.
Yeah,
or maybe 1 or 2 weeks left of his suspension. So, yeah, don't go there.
We learnt one thing from the Bulldogs game last weekend is that Jacob Carraz is not a fullback, and he needs to stay either on the centres or on the wing.
Yeah.
He's been reverted back to the wing this week, which is going to help his score. I mean, just stay there and score tries, mate. You're doing well for us. And for the Wars, no changes for the Wars after coming off a good win against the Broncos.
Yeah.
No SJ. He'd be out for 3 weeks. He's going to be a nice price when he comes back. I wouldn't probably. It'll be a risk if you get him.
Yeah, well, the only concern as well with the Wars is obviously they don't play next week. And they've only, like the Cowboys and the Roosters, I believe, they've only had one bye.
Yeah.
So they've still got 2 byes each to have. So, look, if you wanted to get a Wars player, you really needed to get them last week. Obviously, Mitchell Barnett was an absolute stud last week. He was exceptional. Hope that you guys listened to the podcast and also the buy, hold, sell advice. He was exceptional. Then on the Bulldogs, I feel sorry for Skelly Legs. Skeleton, yeah, poor old Skeleton. He's been playing well for the Dogs, but obviously with the players coming back, he's been reverted to 18-man. But that's great news, Cord, with Kiraz back to the wing because, like you said, he just it wasn't it.
No, it wasn't. He didn't have a shocker. He just can't pass. The decision-making wasn't there.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Ryan Pappenhausen is named to return. Ooh. I did hear mail door that he was... It didn't work, the treatment that he had well. So
that's surprising to me, Cord.
I'd probably wait for TLT or the late mail to suggest if Pappenhausen's going to play or not.
Especially Falongo's there on the bench.
On the bench, yeah.
So he'd just come straight in if Paps is... Yeah, definitely just keep an eye on our stories in our posts for that one. And also, interesting, Jack Howarth's also been named. He was reported to be out for 1 to 2 weeks. So, yeah, interesting, but... Continue, Cord.
Well, Galvin continues to go well, mate. And Johnny Bateman's back into the starting side. He should take up an 80-minute role, I'd suggest, on the edge now.
Yeah, unfortunate for Ruben Porter. I think a few people were looking at him. Hopefully he can get his way back for round 19 for the next week for the bye.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Cord, Galvin, just really good. It was great from us that we kept him because there was obviously a bit of concern there with selling him because of that injury and whatnot, and then the uncertainty about his future at the Tigers. But we made the right decision, and he's been absolutely exceptional since he's come back.
I mean, you just forget that he's 19 years old, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. He's still a teenager, and he's going around like he owns the place at the Tigers. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, very special, brother. Finu as well, just quickly.
Finu's done very well.
Samuel, he continues to... churn out good scores. Obviously, 39 on the weekend. He's probably getting close to his expiry date, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But look, it's perfect timing because he plays next week, and then you can move on with him. Yeah.
I guess the big news out of the Storm lineup is that Harry Grant has been named, not named this weekend.
No.
Which means my only thought process is that split above his head was no good.
Yeah.
And they don't want to risk that or re-injuring that. So. It's a bit of an interesting one considering the circumstances of this year and the top 4 scenarios. So, look,
we're fortunate, Cord. We are fortunate the All Out that we've got Damien Cook in our side, and we also have Hands as a backup hooker. So, we're spoiled for luxury there. But as I said, it's an interesting one, with Origin next week. But look, if it helps Queensland, Harry Grant getting an extra week off, the Storm are 2 wins ahead of the pack. So, look. To me, it's I'm happy to, if I'm a fantasy owner, to just deal with it. Harry being out
and move on. Exactly right.
Move on. Yeah.
For the Cows, I know a lot of people that moved these guys on over the weekend last week. Val Holmes, Talangi, Dearden, Cotter, and Nano all return, as well as Robson from New South Wales for the Cows. I wouldn't be worried that if you sold Cotter or Val Holmes over the weekend that they're back because they're going to play Origin, obviously, and then potentially be rested again for round 20.
And then they still got to buy.
They still
as
got to
well.
buy. Exactly
They still
right.
got to buy. So they obviously don't play next week. Yeah, I don't think you can be upset if you sold any of those players. Obviously, it would have been nice, like if you could hold them another week. But
Yep.
obviously, there's these last few weeks, there's been a few fires that you have to deal with. So look, you can get them back when you get the 8 trades or whatever if you really need to. But
Look, the
not
biggest
the end
news
of
out of
the
this game, Dor, is that Tom Trbojevic is back, but he's in the centres. I mean, I don't understand the logic. I'm no medical doctor or sports scientist or whatever, expert. But how does an injury get less likely if you're playing in the centres and not fullback?
Well, you're just thinking you're still playing the same amount of minutes. I guess
exactly
you're not like, you know what I mean? Like
I guess you're
covering
not
the
involved.
same, involved as
more.
much, covering as much, ground, because obviously at the fullback you got to, predict which way they're going to kick and, chase down the ball. Like
I'm sort of concerned from an outside point of view that they're protecting this guy, that if he has another injury, he's done. That's sort of my perspective on it.
Yeah. The worst thing that I take of it, like it's great that Turbo's back. Obviously, another big thing for Manly is Ruben Garrick.
Yeah,
he's back as well. For those that held, we were one of those, so that's excellent news that Garrick's back. But the biggest thing, which is the downer for me, is Cooler. Look, we obviously
it was the right call to say.
Yeah, it was the right call to say sell because Hopewadi was obviously playing very well. But it's just, it hurts a little bit seeing him back at fullback. But I wish him all the best. And obviously Hopewadi is on the bench there, so that's one to watch as well.
Roosters Drags. Now, Manu's obviously out with that hand fracture, so he becomes now a sell for the Roosters. I'd be going straight to James Tedesco if I had, if I wasn't a James Tedesco owner, and
or if you didn't need a centre.
If I didn't need a centre as well. Connor Watson playing great for the 13 role. Angus Crichton has been named despite news that apparently he was getting rested, I heard somewhere. And look, Terrell May's back to the bench. He continues to be a warrior for those bye rounds. And if you're struggling for flyers, he just absolutely killed me on the weekend in my head-to-head game. So he continues to go well. For the Drags, mate, I'm not really seeing much fantasy news relevant to the Dragons.
No, it's basically the same team they put out last weekend, I think,
Zach
apart
Lomax
from Lomax returning. So obviously Fine drops out. And then, Tua Pilotu keeps his spot on the bench. But, that's basically same team they rolled out last week. Obviously, Jack DeBellin had a good fixture on the weekend, which is good. Oh, well, better than he's been tracking of late. But look, Dragons and Roosters, not many changes there, but you've got Manu. Yeah, move him on. If you're looking for a centre, any real centres you like your eye on, Cord? Like Carraz has been good.
I mean,
Garrick
I was
as
a
well.
big
You
Ewan
could
Aiken.
wait a week as well and get Garrick next week. Yeah.
Ewan Aiken's been a star for me in the centres. I got him up for probably 2 months ago. Look, otherwise, Iro, I've had him the whole time and he just keeps getting 40.
Iro's been great.
He'll do for the centre role. You don't really want to be spending big in the centres regardless. So
no. We move on to the Raiders.
I mean, the Raiders-Knights game, this is probably the biggest news out of the round for Queensland fans, that Callum Ponga's back.
Pingu Ponga.
This sort of news, we've been told round 22, we've been told round 21, we've been told round 20. He's now back in round 18.
Yeah.
Are you going to be picking him up this week? I know there's going to be a lot of questions. It would be such a risk.
Yeah. No, see, my thing is, look, you could, he's 750. Yeah.
Break even at 73.
From Dor to the followers. Now, he's got a break even of 73, priced at 757K. I just think that obviously, look, he's come back a week before Origin.
Yeah.
There is a chance. Obviously, Queensland are needy. We've got a few injuries. Coates has obviously got injured on the weekend. We need a fullback or a back of some sort. So Billy, he can go rogue. So Ponga could be in game 3, even after just one game if he kills it on the weekend. So
Billy.
I wouldn't pick Ponga up this week. I'd pick him up next week. Obviously, break even to 73. Yep. See how he goes this week. If he's not named for Queensland, pick him up next week because the Knights play round 19.
Well said, Dor. Listen to that, followers. That's great advice.
Pierce Paul.
Yeah. This is the great news. Dylan Lucas, he's been killing it this year. Pierce Paul, the Englishman, he must be doing something right because he's still on the team. He's in the second row. He's done well for us fantasy owners. You can't cop him slack.
No.
He's done well. He didn't do too well on the weekend, unfortunately. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, you got to take a bit of the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I think he's like one of those ones that we were talking about earlier, Cord, like Brendan Hans. I think that with Pierce Paul, just hold him until the end of the bye rounds, and then obviously, where's Frizzell's there? So Lucas is on the bench. Yeah, I'd just I'd hold Pierce Paul until next week, and then afterwards you can move him on. Or if you don't need him next week, like you've already got 2 second rowers, then move him on next week.
Well, the Raiders, there's only real one news, and that's KO Weeks moving to the fullback position. I'm not really nervous about Weeks playing
He's
there.
electric.
He's electric. He gets involved. My only issue is that he's going to lose those sort of kick meters.
Kick meters, yeah.
And
he had none on the 18 kick meters on the weekend. So he did lose that. But look, he was very rusty as well. He made 3 errors, like 3 drops from high bombs. So look, I think Weeks, give him this week. And then give him this week. I like that one. Give him one more week, and then you can depart Weeks him. Probably next week if things go. Because I think the Cook's going to stay there, and then Fogarty will be back soon.
Yeah.
So that's a thing on Cook as well. If you were going to touch on Adam Cook, Cord is probably stay away. I think that he's probably going to play this week, and then Fogarty will return in round 20 after the bye.
Yeah, someone's asked in the viewer questions here, what about Adam Cook? So I think you've answered that one well.
Yeah, unless you're looking for like a red dot, I'd stay away from Adam Cook. Yeah, there's no need.
The only last news for the Knights is that Fletcher Sharp has been dropped to the bench, which is fine. He'll probably get like 20 minutes, hopefully.
Yeah, I wouldn't be, if you can, I just wouldn't play him. Like, keep him. I'd keep him for next week just in case like Ponga gets named Origin.
Yep.
But yeah, I just keep him. At least he's a number, and then you can get rid of him next week. Same as like Hands and Pierce Paul, the other names we've discussed.
Look, Dor, we're going to do some rapid fire viewer questions here.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to this. Cord, fire away.
As quick as you can, because when I tell you there's about 300 questions here, there's about 300 questions.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'm going to go through them as quick as possible, and we'll give a quick response to see how we go. Look, someone's asked about buy, hold, sell. That's obviously going to be dropping Thursday.
Buy, hold, sell podcast should be out tomorrow, and hopefully we can get the templates out tomorrow night as well. If not, it'll be Thursday morning.
Matt said, would you start Ponga and pick him up?
No.
I
touched on that. Go next week for Ponga.
Grant out. Is he a sell? Says Riley and quite a few others. So I think that's the best question.
Grant, just quickly, could obviously rapid fire. Just look, if you need a hooker and you've got no other option and Grant's your only one, I'd sell him to Cook.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just hold him. He'll be back in round 20.
Someone said, is it time to trade Sharp or would you keep him?
As I said, if you've got Sharp, I'd keep Sharp till round after next week and then sell him after the bye round. It's good to have that number.
Yeah, Jack here says, what about Cameron Murray? Is he a buy? Look, I think Cameron Murray's a great buy. I'm a big Cam Murray fan. Only worry is Origin and then backing up from Origin.
I'd wait till after Origin.
Yeah.
There's no, let me just quickly check.
And the Rapids don't have another buy either.
64 break even playing on the edge. You can wait another week.
Yep.
Yeah, get him after after Origin.
A different Jack says, is it time to trade Manu? I think it is, mate. Fractured hand and he's got to go.
4 weeks. And you can obviously get him back with those 8 trades after round 20. So, move on from Manu.
A lot of people asking here, Zane, Josh, is Cooler a buy? Would you buy him back if you sold him? That's the question. I know. I was never an owner, but...
break even of 38. Look,
they
don't know.
They play that buy round, don't they?
They play next week. Yeah, they play the buy round. It's just very... You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how long Manly are going to persist with Manly with Turbo at fullback. They've got a good run over the next couple of weeks, but I just don't know if it's it. Look, if you're going to give me a quick rapid fire answer, I'd say no.
Yeah. What to do with AFB, mate? Some poor scores with AFB. I mean, he got a 39 last week. I know he only got 40 the week before. Is it time to ship him on, or would you just hold him till the bye round's over?
Yeah, I'd hold one more week, and then get rid of him after this week. I think if he's continuing to get those low scores, but surely he's a gun. He surely bounces back. But yeah, look, I'd hold him for one more week.
A lot of the questions here are still the same about Ponga, Manu, Preston. Preston, mate, I don't think he's been named, has he?
Let me have a look. I will quickly check.
I don't think you saw his name.
No, Preston.
No Preston.
No, Preston. So
I'd be selling him. Get him out. I think the Dogs
Yeah.
still have a bye to go, right? They still have one more bye in
yeah,
round
I'm pretty
19.
sure. So yeah, look, don't take my advice with Preston because I held him, but that's because I had no trades left. I already got rid of our trades. But look, if you've got or my trade, should I say? Yeah, the Dogs have still got a bye, which I'm pretty sure is next week. That's their last bye.
Yeah.
As again, same thing. If you need to keep him, if you want to keep him. Otherwise, if you need a number, like you need an edge, get rid of him.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much TLT done, mate. And the questions for this week, massive buy, hold, sell podcast will be out tomorrow. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube. We're close to 1,000 followers, Dor.
Yes, yeah. Come on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen.
We can get there.
We got to push. And then if also, I haven't got my hat on today, but if you want as well,
Yes.
support us and buy a hat.